Welcome to What Lies Ahead. I'm your host, Chris Raffini, lead singer of the Long Island band Overthrow. On my podcast, I explore everything related to the hardcore scene through the eyes of artists, promoters, and record labels. As always, please like or subscribe on all social media platforms. For more information and updates, check out our Instagram page at whatliesahead_podcast and find us on Facebook by searching What Lies Ahead. Now, on to the show. This episode's guest is a true legend in heavy music. He's the guitarist and founding member of Life of Agony, a band that helped define an era with emotionally raw, genre-blending records like River Runs Red and Ugly, and one that's influenced countless artists across the metal, hardcore, and alternative scenes. Beyond the stage, he is also an accomplished producer and studio owner, working with both established acts and rising artists and helping shape the next generation of heavy music. With a career spanning decades, sold-out tours around the world, and a catalog that still hits just as hard as today, I'd like to welcome Joey Z to the show. Joey, how's it going?
Wow, Chris, man. That's beautiful. Thank you so much. When I hear stuff like that, because you're alive in your own skin. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm never still at this age, 54 years old. I still, it's not something I'm used to when hearing the history of it and stuff. It makes me proud, but at the same time, I'm super humble to it,
It's
as a
awesome, man.
person, as a human being.
It's always and even like, and I've been listening, and you guys, you've probably heard this for a lot from a lot of different people, but I've been listening to you guys since ninth grade in high school. So I'm
That's
47 years
wild.
old. So it goes back a while, how long
God
I've been
bless.
listening to you, and you just the way you are now, and even chatting it up before and even prior to the same humble dude that you've always
Thank
been
you.
since the
Yeah.
beginning, man,
It's
So,
funny because I have friends since elementary school still. And a good friend of mine had said to me recently, he was like, we were on the phone, and he was like, "You haven't changed since fifth grade, dude." He goes, "You're still the same Joseph Zampella, Joey Zampella. I remember from class." Because we crack up, whatever. And that's something, I don't know, I guess it's something I'm proud of, obviously, that I never let anything get to my head because I see this life is I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for everything that has happened, like without a doubt. And as I get older, I'm more and more grateful for it. Not that I wasn't as grateful, but I think years ago I may have taken advantage a little bit, like selfish things. But I was always me. But I feel like as I get older, I'm more appreciative
Mhm.
of everything that the band has, that I have as a dad, as a husband, as a person. The balance I found between music, the career, and family life, which I'm sure you understand too, Chris, because you're in
Mhm.
a band, you have a family. We both live in Long Island.
Yes.
Um, it's real. This is reality. Like, I'm grinding all these years to make sure I could pay the bill, all that stuff
Right.
that comes into play. Life of Agony has been successful. We have, and we've done really well. But at the same time, in order to keep doing this professionally and for a living, you just have to keep the pedal to the ground, bro.
Mm. Mhm.
So, and that's what we do. And we recently had a dinner with our agent in Manhattan over the holidays. And Dan DeVito, super awesome guy. We've been with him 25 plus years. He books all our tours. And he said something really, really awesome at the dinner table. He said, you know, I'm so proud of you guys. You really stood the test of time and you're still doing it. And that meant a lot hearing that come from his mouth. He was like, even when people doubted how you guys could take this further, you always prove everyone wrong and you still pack in venues, knock on wood, and you know, it's just great. I'm grateful is basically what I'm saying, you know.
Yeah, and it's awesome. And I've seen like a lot of other people who are going to be listening to this from back in the day when I was younger to the Roxy Music Hall to
Yeah.
Nassau Coliseum to the Paramount to
Yeah.
all these other different venues. Seen you in Jersey opening for Ozzy and Korn,
Fuck yeah.
and the same energy and stuff on stage. So what's cool is you guys now a little bit. It's about 6 months, I'd say 5, 6 months removed from, or maybe even a little shorter than that. That what's crazy is we're talking about all this. You did the 30th for Ugly, which was
Yeah.
awesome that you did that. You're ready to go on tour with Keith for his
Yeah.
solo tour. You're going to Europe, I believe, with that. You played
Yeah.
bass. Um,
I'm like knee deep in bass licks right now in the studio in
uh-huh.
this room right here. Every day I've been pounding on the bass. I have to learn 16 songs, well, which is killer because it's
A
really
lot.
it
Yeah.
challenge and it's cool because it pushes you out of your box, out of your comfort zone.
Hmm.
And I'm learning bass licks from these like legendary, bass players that Keith had on his records. And
Hmm.
it's pretty interesting. I love it. I'm really excited for that March tour in
Yeah.
Europe with
That's going to
Keith.
be fun. And you were just there recently, right? In November for the
Yeah.
Life Agony. So you
Yeah,
going to the
it's
same places that you were,
Yeah,
same spots
similar,
somewhat?
somewhat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do really well in certain parts of Europe, we do really well. And then there's other parts of Europe where, on longer tours, we would need to fill the gaps, say like a Slovenia or a Czech Republic. Like
Okay.
those are the smaller markets for us, or areas of Poland. But then there's the bigger markets, which I think on this specific tour we're targeting for Keith, Germany, because Keith hasn't done this in a bit. This has been almost 20 plus years that Keith has
Wow.
been to Europe on his solo stuff.
Hmm.
So anyway, long story short, yeah, it's we're hitting all the usual suspects, we call it. The good territories for us, and
Cool.
super excited about it. Tickets are going well, so that's good.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we'll go back a little bit and then we're going to
Yeah.
work our way up because there's a lot to talk about. We're definitely going to talk about the studio and
Yeah.
that you have currently right now. There's an audio podcast, but we're on a Zoom and you are in your studio right now. So we're going to
Right
definitely
now,
talk
yeah.
about that.
It's in my house. The
Uh,
studio's here in Merrick, New York. It's
which
in
is
my
awesome.
home. I lost my Brooklyn studio back in Hurricane Sandy in 2012,
Right. I remember hearing about that.
and that
Yeah.
was uh, that was a big hit for me. So it was really cool that my wife let me take the whole bottom floor of our house. I'm in the control room right now, but
Hmm.
there's a live room behind this wall behind me. There's a live room where LOA actually rehearses as well. We use my live room as our rehearsal spot too.
Is that
So
where you were posting the video when you're getting ready for the
yeah,
opening tour? Yeah.
exactly. That's
Cool.
that's behind this wall here.
Hmm.
So yeah, it doubles as a basement, of course, but at the same time, I got it set up really pro. I'm making great stuff out of here. I got killer equipment and everything is sounded, it just gets better and better, which I'm super pleased, super happy with what I set up here. And
Awesome.
did a good job on all the acoustics, inside the walls, outside the walls, underneath the floors, there's even acoustic padding. So,
Okay.
yeah, like I really went to the hilt to make sure it sounds like a studio down here, and it does.
That's
It's
awesome.
nice.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. So let's start back. What was your first recollection, I guess? This is going back, and then we'll work our way into, River Runs Red and all that stuff. But the New York hardcore metal scene when you were coming up, like what that was like
Oh my God.
for you guys coming up in it. And it's just so cool looking at like flyers back in the day of shows you guys played, but and then just building from there. So why don't you talk a
I
little bit
see,
about that?
I see, occasionally I'll see some of those flyers pop up and I'll be like, oh my God, I remember that show. Like
Hmm.
shows at this place called Animal Hall. You ever hear of that place,
Heard of
Animal
it.
Hall
Yeah,
in
I've heard of
Brooklyn?
that.
Really rough, rugged shows, really rough around the edges, back then, a lot more, I wouldn't call it violence at the shows. There's a lot more aggression going on. These days, I don't know if, you know, with what went on back then, I don't know if it would fly these days. There'd be a lot of
Mm.
people behind bars. But yeah, it was more of a, how would you say it? It was more a vibe back then, I gotta say. Although it's great that the scene continues, but do you remember back then, like entering a show and there was just a vibe in the air? Like, I
Yes.
go to shows now, I just don't feel that energy. Like, it's just an energy I can't describe. It was almost like it was everything. It was a feeling, it was the smell of the place. It was all you smelled was beer and, whatever, you know. It just had a vibe back then. I'm specifically talking about places like Lemore's or,
Mhm.
CB's, let's say.
Yeah.
You walked into these venues and there was a vibe. Not to say that it's not fun anymore or the shows aren't as good. The shows are still great today, but again, like I feel like you got to work a little bit harder these days. And I have I have a theory behind it a little bit. I think it has a little bit to do with the phones and the computers. I think
Oh yeah,
I
I
think
agree.
humans definitely got removed. As a matter of fact, we did something special on our acoustic tour. Did you hear we did like a couple of acoustic tours in
Yes,
Europe?
yes,
So what was really cool is on those tours we did like a Q&A with the crowd. We came out and we answered some of their questions that they put forward in a question box, which was really cool. And I ended up being the moderator somehow. We had none of this planned. It was really nerve-wracking, to be honest with you, because we were just bare bones. Our movie played, The Sound of Scars, and then we would come out on stage and just talk. So it was really in front of hundreds of people. So, but anyway, the first thing I always becoming the moderator that very first night, we were like shaking in our boots. It was so nerve-wracking. We never stood in front of a crowd and just spoke in chairs. It was very odd, but
yeah,
cool at the same time. Anyway, we asked the audience if we could have all phones put away for the evening. And I explained why to the people. Years ago, we used to go to these shows. We didn't have these phones. We weren't filming the whole time and all this stuff and so distracted, so like removed from the actual moment. We used to go home and take home a feeling from these shows, a feeling that would last sometimes for a week, like because you thought about the show more. You didn't videotape it, you didn't watch it later. You felt the show, you absorbed it, and then you went home with a piece of that show inside of you.
yeah,
Whatever happened that night, whether it was you heard your favorite song from a band from Biohazard or, Slayer or whoever, Metallica, you went to these shows and then you came home and that you went to school and that show just stuck to you and you had a feeling all week, at least for a week sometimes, maybe more. Sometimes it would influence you so much you'd end up writing, we'd end up writing a new LOA song or you end up writing something on your guitar
right.
or because you just carried that feeling. This is going back to what we're just talking about. I'm circling back around to the shows. You don't have that as much these days because people are kind of removed. They've
Filming.
right. Not only that, you have so much information on the computer.
Well, yeah,
You could see all of your favorite bands playing wherever in the world. Now you go to YouTube, you could be in your pajamas with a cup of coffee, and I could watch some of my favorite bands, playing in France or playing in wherever, Poland, you know. Um, okay, that's cool, but you used to have to wait to go see your favorite bands. You couldn't just turn on the TV or turn on your computer and see them live, or even see them live as they're playing a show,
right.
kind of like that Sabbath thing was, which is really cool. But I guess what I'm saying is there used to be a lot more mystique, and I think that's what we carried. It was that excitement. There was an excitement. So when we say the vibe has changed, the excitement level has changed in people because there's so much information now that it took down that excitement level in everyone. You're
Yeah,
excited to go to the show, you're excited to see your band, but you just watched like 10 videos of the same tour at home. You know
right.
exactly what they're going to play, you know the set list, you know when in the set list your favorite song is, all the mystery or everything's solved.
You're right. Speaking of which, I was thinking about that, like setlist.fm, which is great, but it's also a hindrance. I'm even someone I'm on that and I'm like, put it away. Like you know what the set list of the band is before they play it. And it's funny, you go to shows and you see people doing it, even
Yeah.
at hardcore shows sometimes. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my God. So it does. It takes away that mystique of the band, the show, and that vibe that you're describing.
And I think that's the big difference. So going back to how you and I felt back then, playing these shows, going to these shows, it was completely different than it is for a lot of the people that are younger people that are coming out these days, coming out to these shows. It's just different. You feel it, and like I said, that vibe, you could cut it with a knife back then. You felt
Mm-hmm.
it, man. It was
Mm-hmm.
thick in the air. There was a thickness. I'll never forget. We played a festival with Sepultura, the original Sepultura. It was on their Roots album. I'll never forget this as long as I live. I think it was at the festival, I believe it was either Grass Pop or the big festival in Europe, and we played with them. And I wanted to watch from the stage, right? So there was a bunch of people that went on the stage, and I'm telling you, the vibe. This was back in '96, I want to say. I think Roots. When did Roots come out? Maybe around '96. This show was.
96, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So it was just when Roots came out, and I was so excited. I didn't see them live yet with Roots, and I would love. That was like one of my favorite albums of all time. It still is. And I was, I kind of knew those guys pretty well, like, the band members and stuff, because we've known each other a little bit. And so I'm standing there on Andreas's side, waiting for the band to come up to the stage, and the crowd was so, how would you say, intense, waiting for them, that the barricade started sliding forward towards the stage. The entire barricade at a
Wow.
festival was like 80,000 people, and I just started watching this barricade as people pushed forward. When the intro music came, I got the chills.
Mhm.
Intro music came on. They started clearing the stage. The Sepultura's people said everyone has to get off. Security and police, riot police, came to the front to hold the
Wow.
barricade. It was a scene. And they started clearing the stage, and I saw Andreas, and I'm getting cleared. And I was like, yo, Andreas. He was like, no, Joey's cool. Joey's cool. And he let me stay on stage as they're kicking people off. There was a
Oh,
few people I got to stay, and I was one of them. Let me tell you something. Talk about cutting the air with a fucking knife, with a sword.
yeah.
The vibe. And then they just started Roots. It was fucking.
Must have.
I've never seen a crowd erupt into a war zone like this. It was
Hmm.
completely bananas, Chris.
Yeah.
Completely bananas. And I just don't feel those. I just don't. I even go see some of my favorite bands these days, and I want that. I want to get that. I want the people to have that. Like, why was
Mhm.
that barricade sliding forward? There's a reason. Everyone was so freaking ready.
Yeah.
So that's the stuff that we're missing.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
those are the vibes we're missing.
Yeah,
And
it's definitely different. You could see it. Still love it. Love going to
yeah,
shows and all that stuff and the energy, but it's definitely a different feel. You're
a
definitely right.
different
Like,
feel.
and I can use, and you guys know Roxy. There was a
Yeah.
vibe when you'd walk into the Roxy too. Now, maybe because I was a younger kid walking into it, but there was
No,
a
there
definite
was.
feel when you walked into that place
It's that
for any
the
show.
rock. Yeah, the Sundance, the Roxy,
Yeah.
all of these clubs had those feelings, like Lemoore, CB, all these venues. You in Jersey, there was Studio One. I don't know if you remember that venue, Studio One,
In Jersey, right?
in
Yeah, yeah.
Jersey.
Mhm.
Yeah, it had that feeling like that.
Mhm.
You walked in, you were just waiting to hear that first strike of the guitar, like. Those are I don't know, man. I don't understand. Like, I do understand, but I wish I could really, I guess, you know, I wish we could bring that back, but it's
Yeah.
impossible.
It's
It's,
tough.
it's,
Yeah.
you know,
Such a like an amazing moment in music, like at that point in time in the 90s. And as we're talking about it here, it's just take back quick. What was that feeling like when, because you guys had started building, 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 and you just saw it coming with you guys. You had a very unique sound. Um, and then obviously it comes along where you're connecting with Roadrunner Records and Roadrunner just at that time with you and Typo Negative and Biohazard and just Sepultura. And it was just like,
Machine Head. Yeah.
how, my honestly, like Metallica got me into heavy music, and then I found hardcore and everything, but Roadrunner was my lane to everything.
Yeah.
It just was. And I
Well, they
just,
had almost everything. They had
everything,
from
every
Machine Head,
great classic
Sepultura,
album,
you
Machine
know,
Head. Yeah.
yeah, they had Obituary, they had Dog Eat Dog, they had everyone basically. A Typo, Biohazard, Life of Agony. They had it in their hands. They had Fear Factory.
Yeah.
You,
Classic
I
records
mean,
from them.
think
Yeah.
about all the classic bands that went on to do such great things that came out of Roadrunner.
Madball too, right at the time, right?
Madball,
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
forget Madball. They're
Yep.
still killing it. Have you
Yep.
seen? Talk about energy at the shows. Have you seen some of Madball's shows?
Yeah,
It's
we've got
fire,
fortunately we
bro.
were able to play with them again. We played with them at Gramercy Theater, and Freddie's stage presence and
The
the
whole
energy is
band.
incredible.
Yeah,
The whole bit,
Freddie
you're
and the
right.
whole band.
Mhm,
Mikey the drummer, Mike the guitarist, all of
mhm.
they're on fire, man. They opened for the River Runs Red tour in Europe. We
Oh,
had
okay.
them out, and I watched them every single night. I was catching those guys because
Mhm.
They were just, it was so much fun just watching. And every time we play together, I'm just glued to their energy is just off the charts. But anyway, going back to what you said, yeah, Roadrunner, I mean, we're lucky and blessed to have been part of that whole movement, the Roadrunner movement. And if it wasn't for Josh Silver, Ken Creedy, Josh Silver was from Typo, he's a keyboard player, in case you didn't know.
Yep, yep.
Ken Creedy is Typo's manager, who also managed Life of Agony. If it Monty Connor, of course, who signed Life of Agony. If it wasn't for those three people, we might not be having this conversation at all.
Crazy, right? How things work out, right?
It's so funny. Like, if it wasn't for those three key people, we would not probably be talking right now, unless the universe reshifted. You know how the universe works. It
Yep,
kind of
yep.
reworks you back into where you need to be. But anyway, yeah, we were blessed to be part of that Roadrunner catalog, that
Hmm.
Roadrunner movement.
And then,
Absolutely. And
yeah, and
that
then
was the 90s. That was the definition of the 90s. It was almost like Roadrunner became a major label without being called a major label when you think
yeah,
about
right, right. It was absolutely, and you're right. You're mentioning all those bands, and just like you just loved every one of them, and which led into so at the time with River Runs Records, I remember a lot of those songs were demo based. You were on the Too Damn Hype
it. Yeah.
compilation. You had some of
Yep.
those songs on it,
East
but
Coast
then
Assault.
East Coast Assault, right, the first one. So then you had the album out. Like at the time when you were putting that together, and you look back at it now, like almost like how impactful it was.
Yeah.
Like it was
And you don't,
impactful when it came out, to be quite honest, because I remember, like I said, going back to ninth, 10th grade when I was into you guys, and we us hearing it and listening to it on the way to school and just being just completely blown away by it, like honestly,
yeah.
and how the fact that it still holds over as a classic record today. So, um, how do you look at that? It's something that's like, with that album and the way it's perceived and looked at today, and that you're still running strong doing tours with this album,
Yeah.
and the
I
reactions are as if it's the 90s,
It's
you know?
funny because before, just a few hours ago, we had dinner, but before dinner, I was just putting together the set list, I should say, for the Lou benefit that's coming up. We're going under the name Bad Seed,
Yeah.
at Lucky 13. And I like to run through the song. I like to just, obviously play I just change some strings on some guitars, and I still get that feeling when I play these riffs today.
Awesome.
This is today, just a few hours ago, like I'm playing Method of Groove, and I'm just grooving on that bouncy riff.
Mhm.
I'm just like, and then I started playing some of the other riffs, of course, some This Time and other ones, and they're just, I would say, the riffs just feel timeless.
Right.
You could play them right now in front of a crowd that's never heard them before, any of those riffs, and they would still hold up. Matter of fact, that behind me, I hung
That's a cool
some
photo.
years ago. That is my gauge. If I could play a riff in front of that many people, it holds up. So it's my tester. So when
That's
I'm
cool.
writing in here, that whatever's going on, it has to be able to go over that many people.
Right.
That's like the trick.
Mhm.
That's the trick everyone needs to know. When you're writing something, you got to imagine you should be able to play that in front of 100,000 people and move every single person there. If you think you can't with that riff, the riff isn't good enough yet.
Mhm.
You got to work a little harder.
Right.
So that's the thing. Anyway, going back to what you said, years ago when we put that album together and worked on that album, you didn't know what was going to happen, obviously. There was no plan behind it. And it was just us being young guys that had a lot of aggression in us, a lot of stuff that went on at home or whatever that came out through our music. And I think that's what made the music so timeless, because it was so real. It was real
Yeah.
energy, real. It came from within. Those were real riffs, real moments that happened during the writing of that album. And we wrote like that ever since. But that's why it takes us so long, I feel like, because it has to be right. It has to be the right time. The timing of it and the vibe within the band has to be right, like everything. Like, and I know there's no perfect, there's no such thing as a perfect time, but there's a feeling we get when we want to write. There's a feeling in the band. So we won't try to fight that. We'll stick with, okay, are we feeling this yet? Is it happening? Oh, have some ideas. You have some ideas. Then you know what I'm saying? So basically, I don't know if I answered your question exactly, but
I did.
I, River Runs Red just felt right. It felt natural, and we're blessed that it still holds up today. That it, I'm not surprised, to be honest with you. I'm
Mhm.
not
And it
surprised.
does, even on this podcast, I've had a lot of bands, promoters, labels, discussions on River Runs Red comes up as
Yeah. I'm a
one of my,
fan.
yeah.
The best way to put it is I'm a fan.
That's awesome because right, and like, and you've been playing this for how long now, all these
Yeah.
songs, and to still have that feeling that you're
Oh,
describing.
totally. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember,
Intensity. It's an intensity.
yeah, to go into like, Talk Ugly, which I think is an incredible follow-up. And I actually remember being so excited when that was coming out.
A lot of people were like, when they came
No,
out, but then it grew on them,
no,
I
it's
remember.
I liked it from the beginning, obviously, and then we'll talk about that because
Yeah.
you even said I've heard you guys say before you wanted to do something different with it, right? You didn't
Hmm.
want like a River Runs Red Part Two,
Yep.
which twofold here is actually part of my question because I actually was able to like back then, right? So now what we were talking about with social media, you could hear bands' new songs now. You just go on YouTube, it's all over the place. I remember
Yeah.
seeing you guys in the summer of '95, and I'm going to go down a nostalgia trip here. You guys played the Roxy. You opened up with Through and Through. The whole place just went absolutely crazy. My friend Mike Lupi and I went to it. But you played a bunch of new songs. I remember you playing Ugly. I remember you playing Other Side of the
Other
River.
side, how it would be maybe? Did we play how it
Might
would
have,
be?
yeah,
I
yeah.
think we
And I
did.
remember being so excited like these were coming out. But I remember reading with interviews with you guys, but even now talk about you wanted it to be a little different. Now,
Hmm.
you were touring for River Runs Red a lot. You're seeing the responses you're getting for River Runs Red, right?
Hmm.
All the and Ugly has its heaviness because it does. There's definitely like there's a little bit more melody. Even though you were vulnerable within River Runs Red, the lyrics are a little more different and personalized, right? Even more so with some other stuff. Um, was that you were talking about when you were writing and feeling right? When did you start? Okay, it's going back now, but you're touring for River Runs Red because this came out 2 years after River Runs Red, this album, I believe.
You're gonna
You are
laugh at
writing
my
for,
answer because I
yeah,
know what you're asking me. You're gonna
yeah,
laugh at the answer. You ready?
yeah. So,
I blame the music in the van.
okay,
Okay.
that's cool. Okay,
So it's the truth. Here we go. So we're on tour River Runs Red all year in a van. We had beanbag chairs. We ripped the benches out of our van. We had no seats. We only had beanbags. We had no seat belts. Fucking traveling across the United States with a trailer on the back the whole year. With beanbags. You remember those big beanbag chairs?
yep.
We had like four beanbag chairs, no seats in our van, and we would just lounge and listen to music. Okay? And what were we listening to back then? Stone Temple Pilots every
That
single
was the
day.
time. Yeah.
Alice in Chains every single day. Soundgarden every single day. Every trip. We probably the only hard band we probably put on in that van during the River Runs Red tour was probably Carnivore, the Cro-Mags, I would say, and Sheer Terror maybe. We popped
Okay.
on every now and again. But other than those three bands, it was all we would play Nirvana in the band sometimes, but mainly Stone Temple, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, the Beatles. We had Beatles on constantly in the van because here we are playing this heavy record, and when we were in the van, everyone just wanted to play this other stuff. We were constantly, yeah, we had, back then I think we had tapes, whatever we put in there back then, and we would just pop in and out all these tapes, or I don't even know if it was CDs back then because we didn't have a CD player, so it had to be tapes. So that's the truth of it, Chris. I blame the music in the van. So we were so influenced. We were all grooving on like Stone Temple Pilots was brand new back then.
Yeah.
When you boil it down, we were like, who the fuck, who is this band? This band's cool. And Soundgarden, we loved Soundgarden. And the more we listened to these bands and we started playing and writing, all of a sudden those influences, you know, it trickled in. So I definitely got to say that stylistically, the reason why Ugly had that new twist to it, that new sound, was because of the music we were listening to in our van on tour.
Wow.
That is the God's honest truth. You can ask any of them, and you know, and that's
And it came
I
into
would,
the style, right?
and it
Yeah.
just trickled its way in somehow. It snuck its way in, and we still had those parts. You know, I remember I always wanted to, you know, try to. I kept coming in. I'll never forget it with that record. I kept coming in with these metal riffs, and it just wasn't. A lot of them weren't jiving with the stuff that was already being, you know, worked on and put forward. So to be honest with you, a lot of those metal riffs never saw the light of day on that album, you know. So
Mhm.
long story short, yeah. So I would say that's the funny answer, but the true answer is it's the music from the van that that influenced that record the most.
That's
Yeah,
cool. And you
yeah,
just toured on the album. How did it feel to
yeah.
revisit some of those songs?
Oh, it was great.
'Cause
It
some
was
of them,
great.
because some of them you obviously you play live, but you can't play all of them, right? So
Yeah,
how is it like
yeah.
revisiting some, like the whole
Oh,
record again?
it was so much fun.
Like
So much fun.
Seasons. Seasons is
Yeah.
such a great song, but you know, it typically isn't
E-
in your set. Like it just
Yeah.
because you can't put everything in there, you know?
Even Damned If I Do was so much fun to play, and that got, well, you know,
Yeah, that's a good
it's
one.
heavy and it gets, you know, there's some gnarly, you know, riffs in there that, you know, get people moving and spinning around. And Fears I Fear, Fears is a great one. Drained was fun to play. The song
Yeah.
Drained, cool riffs in that song, and people loved it. Like they were bouncing. So it was a great, you know, it was just super fun. And revisiting it today, you know, now I feel like we played the songs better than we've ever played. You know how that goes? You're like, I can't describe it, but those little kinks, the way you played it back then maybe wasn't perfect, but some of the imperfect stuff was cool. But when you play it a little bit better, and tighter or whatever it is, it was just coming across really awesome. Like it just felt so good up there. And we were doing Don't You Forget About Me,
Which is
which was
cool. And I didn't realize you've never, is that true? You never played that until now?
never. And Fears, we
Wow.
never played Fears live. We never played
Oh,
Don't
you
You
never
Forget
played
About
Fears
Me.
live either. Oh, okay.
Never. Not until this tour. Matter of fact, you know, I don't want to give it away, but you know, we might want to put that one in the set more often because that was getting people were moving
That
to
was my
that.
next, question. I hear you talking about it is like, did any of these songs that typically are not on the set, like Other Side of the River's in the set, which is a great
Yeah.
song. You have to play that, right? It's a
Yeah,
great
people love that
breakdown
one.
in the middle of that song. But yeah, any of these songs that, like, oh man,
Hmm.
like a newfound connection to them where you felt like they needed to be into the set here and there.
Yes,
And Fears is
yes,
one of them,
and
I
they
guess.
will be. Fears is one of them. And you know what? I gotta say, Don't You Forget About Me is hard to pull off because there's a lot of other things going on. The way we travel now, there's keyboards, there's, you know,
Mm,
there's Keith is playing and singing, and there's a lot more setup that needs to happen. And you can't have that stuff on these small stages or smaller stages. You can't have that in the way for the whole show for one
right.
song. So there is a little bit of a window that needs to happen where that is brought out, plugged in, set up. So it's like a break in the show, which was fine for the Ugly tour because it worked. You know, people knew it was coming up. People, okay, they got to set this up now, whatever. And it took about, I would say, realistically, a minute and 45 seconds. But that live feels like
20
10
years.
minutes. Yeah,
Yeah,
it feels
it
like
does.
10 minutes while you're waiting for it to be set up. But,
Right.
you know, you have your drink of water, whatever, you know, wipe your face. But long story short, you know, I would love to see that song still make it into the set because it was exciting to play. It was fun, fun to play and fun to hear it back. Like when we saw videos or heard ourselves back playing it, we were like, wow, we really dug the way where we were doing it, the way it was sounding live. Sounded
Mhm.
really cool and it was impactful. People were really excited about it. So that's something that we got to keep in mind. There's other songs like that we weren't doing all the time. Like you said, seasons and how it would be, which we've done that over the years, but we haven't in a while. Playing that again felt really good.
Mhm.
So, you know, it was definitely a special tour. And, you know, I'm grateful that we did it. I'm grateful that we, you know, paid homage to it, you know,
Yeah, when I saw
that
you
it
guys doing
deserved.
that, I thought that was great. And I want to get into Soul Searching Sun next, but I do remember this with Ugly though. I
Yeah.
remember you guys taking off more than obviously
Yeah.
even more so. It's like almost like the next step because I remember you headlining Roseland. I remember you playing. You
Hmm.
went out with Typo, but you played Nassau Coliseum with Typo
Hmm.
Negative. I remember
Yeah.
that was awesome. And then so you guys it really like took off with Ugly, which was great to
I
see.
remember diving into the crowd at Nassau Coliseum. I remember
Yes.
jumping in.
Mhm.
I was like, "Fuck this! If I could," I said it's something like, "If I could do this at Lemore's, I could do this here." And I ran and jumped in with the guitar or something. I don't know,
But
bananas.
you talk feeling, remember about a show. I remember my feeling at that show. I remember the
Yeah.
feeling of seeing you guys at Roseland when you headlined. It was right around when it came out, the album, and you played with the
Yep.
Meldons, I believe, right? They
Yep.
opened for you guys,
Hmm.
which was a cool
We
brings
had those
back some
big faces. We had those giant. The
mixed.
Alan did those.
Yeah,
Alan
yeah.
painted. We had those painted, but Alan drew those, and we had them done. Those giant scrims with those weird faces, the fluorescent colors and all that stuff. It was
So
really
then
cool.
Soul Searching Sun comes out a couple of years later, and it was a completely different sound, which is what I like. One of the things I like though about you guys, it's not like the same thing over and over again, and it
Yeah.
was a different sound, but really cool. Like a very, it was just like,
It had a hard rock, like
yeah,
very
yeah. But there was some
hard rock.
heaviness to it where you heard it. Weeds is like one of the most catchiest songs,
Yeah.
honestly, in your catalog. Like to be honest with you.
Yeah, I love it. I love that song. We still have that in the set. That is a staple. Like if we're not doing a like an Ugly album tour or a River Runs Red album tour, that song is always in the set.
So that's
That's
my next question. Would you
yeah.
ever do a 30th of that
Pe
album?
People have asked.
Coming. It's coming up in a couple next
I
year.
know, I know. I don't know if we have plans to do that, although it would be cool. Maybe not a full-blown tour, but maybe it would be fun to do a few shows like that or a
Hmm.
limited run. I don't know if, you see, you also have to be smart about what you do. It is,
Hmm.
in the end, you got to remember, you know, how would you say? I don't want to say put it this the wrong way, but it's also a business. So if not enough people want to see the 30th anniversary of Soul Searching Sun 2, then you got to watch what you do. You have to have some perspective on what is this going to do? You you we talk about these things. We talk about them with our agent. We have meetings and you know, you have to discuss this stuff. Is this something that could work? Is this something
Okay.
that will draw like the Ugly Tour drew or like River Runs Red drew? I don't know. Or, if there's a question mark, maybe we wouldn't do it. So, or maybe we would in a limited way. I don't know. People have asked and our answer remains the same. We just don't know. We need
Yeah.
to get there. We need to get there. But
Let me ask you, a
um
song like Hope or a
yeah,
song
love
like
that
Neg.
song.
Neg is
Oh
another one.
yeah, Neg.
Like that's one of those
Whispers.
that's like kind of in the middle of the record. That's just when was the last time you played those two?
When Veronica first joined the band, um, we which was in 2018, we ended up doing a lot of these songs that we've been wanting to do, that we've been wanting to change up the set and put things in that we haven't done. So we did play Neg for very few shows. We did play Hope for very few shows, maybe for like a tour. Those definitely made it. And we also play Whispers, which happens to be one of my favorite
Oh,
songs
cool.
off that
The
album,
last
that
song off
last
the
song.
record. Yeah.
I love that one. I love it's just the way that riff grinds and Keith's vocal on that and the way it bounces that song. It reminds me of a not so heavy Sepultura type of
Okay. I see what
bounce.
you're saying.
You
Hmm.
know what I mean? The
Hmm.
roots that album, believe it or not, I had a lot of influence that if with the guitar, even the sound, I was really going for that drier, more roots, sepultura type sound, believe it or not. I know it had nothing to do with the vocals and the way the songs turned out, but I had that like dirty, heavy, thick guitar sound in my head that I wanted to put forward, like a more not as metal sounding, but more as like kind of a nasty hard rock, but almost like back alley, just nasty like roots sounding guitar.
Hmm.
And if you really listen to it again, the guitars on that, you'll hear that with that in mind, you'll hear the guitar sound in some of the riffs.
Mhm.
have that a little bit about it, you know?
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Other Side of the River was around the River Runs Red
Yeah,
days, right? Right.
yeah.
Was there any songs from this record, Soul Searching Sun, that were kind of lying around for Ugly that you kind of took
No,
parts to? No, this was all just
no.
brand new stuff.
That was all brand new. That was all written straight away. That was all brand new stuff. And you know, we I would love to bring up Sound of Scars. I know I'm jumping way ahead, but because Broken Valley was a killer record, by the way. That was up there with
Mm.
probably one of my favorite Life of Agony records. There was some,
Love to Let You Down is a good one.
but just beyond that, go deep
Mhm.
dive into
Yep.
that album, like the songs on that, Junk Sick and Justified. They're, you know, Strung Out, like the whole album. When you really listen, Broken Valley, the song Broken Valley, probably one
Hmm.
of my favorite Life of Agony songs ever. We never played it live, which
Oh, wow.
there may be a surprise instead of the Soul Searching tour. There's maybe a surprise coming up in a year or two that
Cool.
we're talking about a killer tour that we came up with an idea that is going to be really, really effing awesome, man.
Oh, wow.
So,
Okay.
really looking forward to that, but I can't talk about it yet. But I am glad that we're talking now. I'll tell you why. So I could talk about some of the things, such as the Keith tour. Like if we spoke a few months ago, I think originally we were thinking
Yeah.
October, November
Hmm.
before the holidays, right?
Yeah.
Weren't
But you
we?
were off, you were going to Europe
I was
doing the
going to
Ugly.
Europe.
Yeah.
It was two, and then the holidays come into play.
Makes it tough. Of
But not only that, I'm just glad that we're talking now, so I could talk more about what's going on this year.
course. Yeah.
What's going on this year in 2026. There's a lot of cool stuff happening. So we're working on something right now, just a live song release that is going to come out, possibly with a video attached to it.
Oh, wow.
Looking forward to that from the Ugly Tour. I'm not going to tell you which song yet,
Okay.
but that and then the Keith Tour is big for me. I've been working hard every day on the bass. I've been playing bass more than I'm playing guitar right now.
Just
Um,
to learn the stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, 16 songs on bass, like I said earlier,
It's a lot.
it's a lot, and it's a lot to remember. You know, it's a lot of information just to remember what happens next, because it's all bass lines and all these runs I'm doing. It's a lot to remember, is what it is. It's not hard to play it, it's more remembering what happens next
Right.
is
Right. Right. The
is
structuring and all
the
that stuff. Hmm.
structure and stuff. And because the bass, it's not like guitar where that's the riff, it repeats, and that the bass on Keith's albums, there's walking all over the place. It's just like walking, and I'm like, I'm doing all that, so it's pretty wild. I'm sending Keith videos as I go, and Keith's like, "You're a monster." He's so excited. I love it. He's like, "Oh, I love you on bass," sending
When's
me.
rehearsals going down for that? Well, you're still getting
Um,
everything.
no, yeah, yeah. We're Keith and I will probably get together before we leave, just to go over some things. Just us two, because the other two members the drummer lives in Amsterdam and the guitar player Ryan lives in California. So
Oh, okay.
we're gonna meet up in Amsterdam a few days before the tour. We're flying early, Keith and I and Ryan. We're gonna fly early over to Amsterdam. We have a rehearsal spot picked out already, a home that we're gonna live in. So
Oh, cool.
we're gonna be living together for like 4 or 5 days, I think 4 days, and we're just gonna be submerging ourselves in the music together.
Got
We're
it.
learning separately right now, but then we're gonna come together in this home, go to rehearsal every day. We have like I think 9, 10 hour rehearsal blocks booked in Amsterdam. So, and we're just gonna go through it and iron everything out, get it all tight, and then hit the first show in Germany.
Cool. It's gonna be
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
That's
it's
gonna
gonna
be
be
fun.
killer. It's gonna be
It's gonna be
killer.
fun.
We
I
have
wanted
other
to,
shit going on.
yeah,
Good.
I wanted to ask you future stuff too in a
Yeah,
moment. Quick thing I just do because I don't want to
yeah,
bounce
yeah,
over them
yeah,
because there are two after Broken Valley, like a place where there's no pain, Sound of Scars,
yeah.
great records, like really. And
Thanks.
again, different sounds. Sound of Scars out of the I love all three. So many good songs on that one. That's a really good one. It's crazy to me that that album's like 7 years old. I
It was
think
made
6, 7
right
years
here.
old.
It was made right in
Oh,
this room.
it was in the studio.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah, right here in this
That's
room
great.
I'm in. Yeah.
So
I'm
what's the future? So what's like? Are you writing now for Life of Agony, or you just how's that going right now with that?
you don't ever stop.
Mhm.
I honestly I was just talking to Alan when we were on the European tour, And I just mentioned to him again, I'm like, Al, I have a folder here in my computer now with about, honestly, I counted because you can count the rows. I have close to 400 riffs,
Wow.
400 riffs from the last 2 years that is sitting in a folder in the computer right there behind me.
Do you
And
remember them or you have to go back?
I
'Cause
would
yeah,
have to go. I mean, what
yeah.
happens is you get inspired. Some of them I do remember. Some of them you can't help but,
Hmm.
oh yeah, I remember I wrote that, whatever. And I have a bunch in my phone as well. But what happens is you just get inspired. I grab my phone or whatever, because I'm not always in the studio.
Of
So if
course.
I have a guitar upstairs, I have a guitar in different parts of my house, wherever I am. Sometimes I'm in the car and I just hear a riff in my head. I'll hum it into the phone, like speak the riff, go home, find it on the guitar, and then record it and save it.
Mhm.
So, you never know when that's going to happen to you. So my point is you never stop writing. I have
Right.
tons and tons of riffs waiting, and I played a bunch of stuff for Al because Al and I usually structure the songs first, like we call them seeds, like in Sound the Scar. We'll get together and put our heads together like he has always an abundance of amazing ideas and amazing seeds, even with vocals and vocally and melodies. And then we'll put our heads together and start getting some of this stuff in the computer as we get closer. Okay, we're gonna
Okay.
do a record. So that's what happens basically. But we never stop writing, and I'm sure each one of us in the band, because we're constantly working on music. I'm in the studio every single day. I'm down here every day, whether it's Life of Agony stuff or clients, which I have a lot of clients in here. I'm constantly working on music all day long, every day. Yeah, so that's pretty much. I'm submerged, Chris. I'm
Yeah.
submerged,
Yeah,
Chris.
and like look with the studio too, just seeing you with it, obviously on the Zoom here with it. Obviously
Yeah,
it's your job, it's what you
yeah.
do, but it's got to be super therapeutic, right? Like
Oh,
at the
it's
same
amazing.
time, man,
Oh,
like just seeing what you're saying, it's like music is always on your mind. You're driving and an idea for a riff comes up, you're like, let me get that down. Let me
yeah.
go down to the studio, let me do stuff. So it has to be, right?
Yeah, that's just the way it is. And
Mhm.
these days when you have programs that help you get the ideas across to your fellow band members easier, say like drum programs, like pull up Easy Drum or whatever, and I have a beat, I just, tap it out, and before I know it, I have a nice idea. I could show Keith, I could show Al, I could show Veronica, hey, check this out, listen to what I just came up with or whatever. It these days, that's a cool part of what we have going on now. Things you can get things going even quicker and get your ideas down quicker, which is great.
Mhm.
Carrying around a phone. Years ago, if I had a riff in my head, I would have to say, shit, I gotta remember the riff. I gotta get home. I gotta remember the riff. And before you know it, you got home and you're like, I forgot the riff. Yeah, yeah. You remember back then?
Mhm.
Because you didn't have anything to record it on.
Yeah,
So it does make it a little bit easier. Some of the technology that we have these days just, helps a little bit with that.
it helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
Excited.
about
Like obviously.
you? How about you? I know you're interviewing me, but I know you're in a band.
So
I
as
know
like
what's
vocally,
your
this
method?
is so it depends. So a lot of times I need to hear the music to get the cadence and the vibe of what I want over it. But
Yeah.
actually, there's a song we have on our new album, The Calling, and the chorus I came up with. I was I was watching the new Indiana Jones movie with my father, and I'm in the movie theater, and all of a sudden I come up with this idea, and I rip my phone out. My
That's
father
awesome.
turns, he's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And I'm like, and I put it over and I kind of got it, and then I went home and I wrote it. So
That's
I used
awesome.
my phone, and without it, it was you're right. I would run out of my room. I would have to record it. I would try to remember it. You'd forget it. So
And
that's where
God
the phone
forbid you were
comes in.
out. God forbid you were out. Like
Yeah.
you were.
Hmm.
You would,
It was
how did
over. You
that vocal
lost it.
go? Exactly. Because there's always a specific way the riff went or the vocal went, and you have to remember it, the exact inflection that it had that made it catchy. Do you know obviously
Yes.
know what I'm saying? You're a musician. So there's always that little inflection, that little turnaround, that little something that made it special that you're like, I gotta remember that. And now these days, thank God that we could pick up
Yeah.
a phone and remember that inflection. and
And
say,
the theater was packed. There was a guy next to me. I didn't care. It was worth it.
yeah, oh, it's totally worth
So
it. Definitely. I
it
would have
was
got,
worth it.
I would have got up and went out into the lobby too. I would have been like, yo,
Yeah.
I totally get that.
So
Yeah.
look, obviously now for you guys, it's tough to actively write. You're getting prepared to go to Europe to do Keith's
Yeah.
the solo
Yeah.
record, and then you come back. So you have some ideas of some releases. Are there any tour plans for you guys coming up? Life
Yeah.
Agony? Hmm.
Yes, we have a big tour that is being worked on, that's being put together. Again, this isn't the one I was talking about earlier, that special thing, although this would
Hmm.
be a special killer tour. I can't really talk about the
Not
band
official.
that way.
Hmm.
It's not official yet, so I can't jump the gun, but it's going to be a killer tour. It would be in Europe. I know we do a lot of European stuff, and people say, "Why don't you guys tour America more?" The truth of it is people just aren't coming out to the shows enough
Hmm.
in America. Like we do go out in America and we do well, but the business in Europe that we do is just, it's I would say how would you say it's probably double if not triple the business we would do here in the United States, across, I'm saying across the United States, which kind of is sad when you think about it, and probably partially our fault because we haven't toured enough in the States, or haven't. I think for us to really, how would you say, gain some momentum in the States again, I think we need to go out with other bands. I
Hmm.
think we need to get back out there and open up for the other bands that are doing well in the States, such as like a Machine Head, or even a band that would be more, how would you say, even like bands like how would you say, more in our genre. I know Machine Head is a bit heavier than us even, but you get what I'm saying. Like a band that we could open up for to gain some more fans across the board, to get
Hmm.
recognized, or we're still in that boat too, as like, a band. People say, oh, Life of Agony, you're already successful, all this stuff. That's just, that's how would you say, not a facade, but it's we're successful, but there's always that room to grow. We don't think we're like up
Hmm.
here. We still see ourselves as like people that still want to grow, that
Right.
still want to grow our fan base, and and get bigger, like every other band out there.
Right.
We're just like everyone
It's
else,
the
is what
same
I'm trying to
mentality
say.
before you signed to Roadrunner. It's
Yeah,
literally the same thing, right?
didn't
So,
change. You still
mhm.
want more. You still want to grow. If you didn't want to grow, then I mean, there would be, I don't know, how would you say, like, it's almost like exciting for the thought that more people would hear Life of Agony.
Right.
That's
Right. Of
exciting to me, to us,
course.
to get more of a fan base would be exciting. It wouldn't be disappointing. It would be exciting.
No, it'd be
So for
amazing.
any
Yeah. Of
band, for any band. So
course.
we're like everyone else, is what I'm saying. Basically,
Hmm.
we just want to keep growing and keep building the fan base out there,
Maybe
especially in the
some
States.
Hope and Neg on that tour. You play for Hope, Neg,
Uh,
and add those songs into the set list when
you're
that comes
you're
together.
you're you're close to what's gonna happen, but you'll
Cool.
you'll see. But you're gonna
Cool.
laugh when you hear about it in the future. You're
Looking
gonna
forward
be
to
like,
hearing about
"Oh, that's what he was talking about."
it. Let's
It's
talk
gonna be
about
cool.
the studio, man. You obviously are
Yeah,
in it. This is awesome, and you just could tell by the way you talk about it. You love it.
I
Like you
love
love
it.
it. Yeah, you love it. What made you want to get into this, the producing, engineering, like that role? How did it happen? Was it always something you were doing?
Uh-huh.
Uh, and then it
Yeah.
just morphed into what it is now.
Yeah, what happened was, when I was a young guy in the studio, I always was the guy who was paying attention. I'm not that say no one else was, but I was
Mhm.
always fascinated with the whole process of recording, the getting the sounds, getting the tone, get how you got the sounds right through the microphones, and how it made you feel when you had a good sound. And that always was like really exciting for me and inspiring to me. The studio always excited me. A lot of people hate the studio. I love going into the studio. I feel like every time I did a record, I would gain. It was almost like being in a karate or jujitsu class. I feel like I always gained notches on my belt, or a new belt, every time we went in the studio and did a record. You just feel like you grew as a musician. And that's the truth of it. And I love that feeling. I loved being in the studio. I loved being in that environment. I love the gear. I'm total a gear geek. I
Mhm.
love microphones and equipment, and I love being able to alter sound and get a better sound and learn how to do that. It always fascinated me. So
Mhm.
it's an exciting thing for me. And and when Broken Valley came out, we worked with Greg Fiddleman on Broken Valley. He was our producer. If you don't know who Greg Fiddleman is, you should definitely look into who he is. Greg Fiddleman is the guy who's produced Metallica for the last 3 or 4 records.
Mhm.
He produced. He worked alongside Rick Rubin for many years. He was Rick
Mhm.
Rubin's right hand man. He did Slipknot Disaster Pieces. So
Oh, I remember that.
after that Slipknot record, we did Broken Valley with him. And then after Broken Valley, he went on to do Metallica on his own. And then he did Metallica ever since. So I got so pumped up working with Greg Fiddleman, like just watching the way he worked. I loved all the producers I worked with, and I learned something from every single one of them. God bless them all. But Greg got me so pumped to really like I was ready to have my own studio. And that's when I opened the studio right after
Okay.
Broken Valley in 2006. I coming off that recording of that
20
record.
years you're going on. Yeah.
Yeah, coming that off that recording of that record, it was something I really wanted deep down inside. Like I enjoyed the process of making Broken Valley so much, and working with Greg and how awesome he is as a producer and even an engineer as just a studio guy, got me so inspired to open a studio. So I did. And unfortunately, that studio, like I said earlier,
Yeah, unfortunately.
I lost it in Brooklyn, but it was meant to be. Like I said earlier, the universe works in funny ways. I think the
You're
universe is
right.
constantly shifting you and repaving the road. And now I have a studio that I love even more than I love the one in Brooklyn, because I actually know more about the gear now. I got
Mm.
better equipment now than I had in Brooklyn. You understand? Like I
Yeah.
grew from that. I grew. I learned more. I grew, and now I have a studio that I'm completely gaga over, and it's in my home. And
Mhm.
that's, that it's a beautiful thing. I work with so many great clients. I can rattle off dozens and dozens of bands that have come through here, and that they just keep coming back, repeat, 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 because they don't want to go anywhere else. It's a comfortable vibe. I make it fun for everybody. Recording should be fun. It shouldn't be a pain in the ass. It
You're right.
shouldn't be a hassle. I hear this all the time from my clients. Yeah, we went to go record with so and so, or here or there. What a pain in the ass. They made it so miserable. And, I hear this all the time. And everyone has the complete opposite experience here with me. It's always fun. I'm always going to inspire the person that's standing next to me recording to do better, but in a good way, you know, push them in a good way, Um, and the good thing is, the way I do my rates is I don't do hourly. I give a project rate. So, which is, how would you say, not always the best for me sometimes, because projects end up taking longer than I would anticipate it, but
Right.
it's only about the music when we're in here. The business has been already done when we spoke, even before we struck a chord, or so the business part is done before they even come in. In other words, the rate has been set, um, and I make it comfortable for the clients. They pay over time. I don't need, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
basically,
yeah.
the business part isn't a thought. They're not staring at a clock going, "Oh my God, we just spent, $250 getting a guitar sound." That is out of the equation. So now we're just concentrating on music and art in here, which that's what you should be doing. I think it's a blessing that I'm an artist and I know what kind of a studio environment, what kind of studio environment I want, and that's the studio environment I give to the client that comes here, a
Yeah. And
comfortable.
that's what I was thinking. Like you're using your experiences with what you would want to, like what you would want to be
ex-
working with.
right, exactly. And the environment itself too,
Mhm.
the comfort of it, the everything, all the comforts of it, making sure the client is at its utmost, um, inspired, creative, how would you say, um, energy, his energy needs to be just focused on the music, just focused on making something great. And
Mhm.
that's what I like to do here, you
There
know.
is something too, especially for like an independent artist, right, who's doing it where you're not worried about, oh my God, I've been here 5 hours, I owe such and such. It's just you just go in, you record, and you worry about the music.
Yeah, that's basically it here. And I
Hmm.
love that. And everybody loves that. Everyone that comes here loves that part of it.
Hmm.
They're like, yeah, I just come and it doesn't time is it's not about the time of the money is the point. It's about making something really cool, making something special,
Hmm.
you know. Keep doing it and keep getting those takes until we hit those magic ones.
Right, of course.
That's what I'm talking about. Like if you're worrying about the hours you're spending, people end up settling. And I'm not going to put my name on something that I don't settle.
Right.
So, you
Mhm.
know,
Question, it's like bringing in what, playing and producing here. So how does producing for you, like other artists, influence your own playing and songwriting with people? Or you're just so dead set focused on helping them, you're not even thinking of that stuff. So I'm just wondering how
yeah.
that process
Yeah,
works for you.
I think it trickles probably when they leave. Because you're around these people, I'm not performing, so I'm in the chair, doing more of the technical stuff and the engineering, as you'd say. But that is very creative on its own, and that inspires me, getting the sounds for them, getting excited about when get a killer guitar sound or a killer drum sound for a drummer and you see the client how happy they are, like, I never heard myself sound like that before.
Hmm.
That's when they leave, it is inspiring for me. Again, like, it's just a constant ocean of music. I love that. I'm constantly submerged in music, whether it's my own, whether it's the clients. I'm down here alone. I can't tell you, Chris, for hours upon hours, editing, mixing, mastering. Um, but I get so much. I'm doing a project right now. The band's called Coventry Carols, right? I did a record for them. Their music is so different. It's like has real like like the early 90s kind of Smashing Pumpkins ish. I don't want to
Oh,
name any
cool.
specific bands, but they have a certain sound. It's such a cool band, and I'm doing their new record right now. And every morning I get so excited. I'm mixing it right now. I come down in my pajama pants, make a cup of coffee, and I'm down here in front of the computer at 7 a.m. I take my daughter to school. My little one, my oldest daughter goes to college already. She's in Manhattan. And my young one, she's just finishing high school. She's gonna be going to college, but I still take her in the morning. The breakfast, I get up at 5:30. I'm in the studio at 7 a.m. with my coffee in front of me, already mixing and editing because I'm excited to drop her off and turn on the studio. All these years later, I'm still that excited where I can't wait to turn everything on that's behind me and get to work. There's something about that
I mean,
that I
it's
can't ask for more,
and
you
it probably
know?
doesn't feel like you're down there all day doing it. It probably
No.
feels like you're down there for
I
like 10 minutes,
I
right?
look up and it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I got to pick her up at
Time
2,
go.
2:20. I'm like, I'm already picking her up. I still got the pajama pants on.
Mhm.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Still got
yeah.
sweatpants on.
Hmm.
So that's, that's something I'm, you know, grateful for and excited about every single day is being able to do this, being able to constantly work on music. It's fun.
Awesome.
Fun, man.
Joey, a couple more questions, and then I
Yeah.
have a bunch of this or that kind of questions
Yeah.
that I'll have you answer in a
No
bit.
problem.
So one thing is, to me, and you're talking to one of them here. Life of Agony fans are insanely loyal. I mean,
As I am.
you've got some new fans from, this new like era of the albums, but then you obviously got the fans from back in the day, starting from even before River Runs Red.
Yeah.
What do you think keeps that connection so strong, those fans?
I think because we just stayed real. We like we're talking now. We're just human beings that we just love what we do. And I think people see that. And I think that's the truth of it. I think people see the authenticity in us. They see that we love what we do. We enjoy it on stage. We enjoy each other. We enjoy each other's company on and off stage. Whether it's riding in the van. Still, we're still in a
Mhm.
van. We had buses and all that. We choose to be in a van. That's the joke of it. We actually choose to be, and we get hotel rooms now because it's more, how would you say, civilized.
Yes.
To have a
And we're older now,
hotel.
right? You're old. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
We all need hotels at the end of the night, and we get a room and have a bed, have a shower, have a toilet, the normal things in life. So anyway, yeah, I think it's people still see that we're very real to our music. We're real to our fan base, if you want to call our family, our Life of Agony family. We'll go out of our way for everyone. I'll have, like I said, I open up my home. A lot of these people that come and record a lot of them, believe it or not, I would say 80 to 85% of them, most of them have either a love for Life of Agony or a connection to the band where and I having people come into my home and record. I've had friends or fans of the band right here in my yard, invited people over just to have some food or a cigar or coffee, um, because I think that connection is, well, I know that connection is real, and we meet a lot of people. And we've met so many people, and I've made connections in Europe where on a number of instances, I've had friends that we met through the band at shows come here and stay at my house for a few days
Wow.
and stay in the guest room and sleep over. I had family, my good friend Peter and his wife Leslie with their kids. They flew in from Belgium. They stayed with us for 3 days. I met them. They have Life of Agony symbols tattooed, the husband and wife on their arms. I mean, these are people I fell in love with this family. I'd see them every single time, and we go out to dinner, and that's the thing. It's making real connections. My friend Steph from Belgium, my friend, this dude, Stefan, call him Steph. Steph came and slept here with his girlfriend, in the guest room, and for a few days, like flew in and said, this is what we do. We make these connections, but they're real. We don't, we're not in it. We're just like you and I. We're just normal people making friends, and like we said, I never changed. We've never changed as people. We're still the same, you know, same people we've always been since we're kids.
Yeah.
And
And I could even say, like, seeing you guys back in the day, I didn't know you guys back then, obviously, but
yeah,
I saw you guys at the Meadowlands. I saw you guys at Nassau Coliseum. I saw you guys at the Roxy Music Hall, right? I saw you at the
yeah,
downtown in Farmingdale. I've seen
yeah,
you Paramount, so many different places. It always just felt like didn't matter the stage. It just still felt like we were in a venue
yes,
like a Roxy Music Hall or a Wetlands or something like that. Seeing you guys, it always felt
yeah.
like that, regardless of where it
The
was and who it was.
size, yeah.
Yeah.
Even when
Mhm.
we play festivals, like there's other bands that have said it to us. You guys have so much fun on stage together. Okay, right. Yeah, we do because it doesn't matter like how many people in front. It's the same thing. We're experiencing these songs. There's something that there are some really cool things that I've learned over the years, Chris. I gotta be honest. I love sharing this with people. I've years ago, my father-in-law had said something to me, and I'll never forget it. Before a tour, and thank God, God bless him, he's still alive. He's still with us. He's old, but I love my father-in-law so much, and I have a great, great friendship with him. And he said something to me before a tour a number of years ago that stuck with me. We're sitting in my yard, we're having a cigar together and coffee, and he goes, "Have a great tour, Joe." And he patted me on the knee and he goes, "Stay within yourself." He just said that, right? And all right, it felt I felt it when he said it. Stay within yourself, and that rung in me, okay? And it's something I realized that I was doing, but now I kind of verbalize it to myself. Like I go into these shows and into these situations with no expectations at all. No expectations of what the crowd should do, how everyone should play, how I should perform. I go in with zero expectations and I'm in the moment. What that does to me, it's staying within myself. Like he said, it allows me to submerge into each song individually, one at a time. and allows me to have fun and feel what that song's about with the band. No matter what each person is feeling or going through up there, we're still connecting, but we still have our own little stories playing out, our own little, how would you say, experience happening
Yeah.
on our own. We're playing together, but their experience is happening within probably feelings, thoughts. I've been at shows. I remember when my kids were babies, when my daughters were younger. I remember being at festivals, staring at the trees, like in Europe, staring at trees and mountains, and I would get tears in my eyes just because I just thought of them while I'm playing, like God only knows which song I was playing, but just we're all going through an experience up there. And I think that letting go of all expectations and staying within yourself allows you to be at your most authentic, allows you to perform as just this authentic entity that is delivering this music, is delivering these tones, these sounds, and this vibe. I now I've recognized it, and I'm glad I did over the years because now it helps me. Because there was years ago, you go up there and maybe the monitors weren't good, and you get pissed. Oh, fucking my monitor's blown. I'm playing in front of fucking 800 people. I have blown monitor. Oh, I killed my show. Like that doesn't happen. Who cares? You know,
Mm,
I've learned that you know, it's not all about just that monitor that's blown. It's not all about why isn't the crowd reacting the way I thought they should,
mhm,
or you got to let go of all that stuff because you know what? The more you let go, the more it just happens in front of you.
mm.
The more you stop trying to force things and stop trying to map out the show even before you got on stage, like think about, oh, it's going to be this and it's going to be, forget about what it's going to be. Just go up there and experience it. Then it's exciting because you don't you following me? Does this
Yeah.
make sense to you?
Yes.
Because there's something about it. And
Yeah.
the more I do it, the more I focus on just letting go, let go of everything, all expectations. I know what I'm going to do. I know what's going to happen. Like here, I know how to play, I know how to perform these songs. It's all a matter of just letting go and letting those moments happen now and letting the vibe happen. I think when
And
we,
ju-
yeah, go
and
ahead.
like you said, being in the moment, and it's that's why it's like I'm listening to what you're saying, and it's like you kind of it tailored into the next question. It was almost like what would you tell your 20-year-old self back in the day? And it's definitely this,
Definitely,
right?
definitely.
And you just at that point didn't, and look, we're obviously nowhere near the level you guys were, but it was just I remember getting aggravated at things that were so like
Yeah.
just not important that didn't mean anything and not enjoying it.
Killed
And
your
you're
night.
right. Yeah, yeah, it was just ruining it. And yeah, to what you're saying, it's just enjoying like almost every note of every song. You're like
Exact
in it every
in
song.
it.
Hmm.
And the more you submerge yourself in that song, the more you're in and you're not thinking, you're not somewhere else. You're actually in the song, the more intense it feels, the more you transcend. Like I've been lately, I there's some moments like you ever get that dream state, you feel like you're dreaming for a second. That happens to me more now, which I love because it's I think it's your inner self or your soul like almost recognizing, like almost come like an out of body type of thing. I don't know what exactly it is, but you feel it's almost like looking down at myself doing this, and but also being still in that shell, but yet looking down at yourself. It's a weird, I can't describe it, but it's almost like an out of body type of thing that I feel sometimes. And it doesn't happen all the time, but some shows, just the vibe, the energy, it's just happening and it's there. And then I'm on autopilot almost here because I'm not thinking so hard about it, you know?
When did you, Joey, find yourself, you just make yourself do it one day? When did you get yourself to start getting in that mindset of what you're describing?
I'll tell you what, I decided as I'm getting older, or should I say as I'm getting younger, um, I realized that there. we really have to be grateful for what we have in life. I've lost so many friends, and people passing away like Peter Steele really had an effect on me. I played in Carnivore with him in the
Yeah,
second rendition of Carnivore. We got really close during that time. Um, uh, Knowing that he can't do what we're doing, knowing that he's gone, just no life at all. Um, I lost a lot of friends and lost a lot of family members. And life is real, man. Like, I realized that you can't sweat the small stuff. And here's the thing, when you have your health, you have 1,000 problems when you have your health. All right, follow me. You know what I'm going to say? When you have your health, you have 1,000 problems, right? When you don't have your health, you have one problem. So be grateful that you're able to go do music. Be very humble to everything. Be humble to this life. Treat your family well. Treat your wife well. Treat your friends well. Have good intentions every day. Be a good person. I realized years ago we all have a dark side, right? And I accept that I have a dark side. I have accepted it, you know, because we all have experiences over life. Some we're proud of, some we're not, some things we're not so proud of, right? We all have that. I don't care who you are.
for sure.
So from years ago, I came to terms with that and I said, you know what? I understand that about, I know I have a dark side. I get it. I recognize it, but I made peace with that dark side and I choose every day to live to my good side.
Yeah,
It's your choice.
right.
Every day you get to choose which side of yourself you live through. Okay. And I know that there's so much more to still give in this life. There's so much more to experience, no matter how old we get. It doesn't matter. And I don't know what it is. Maybe it's I'm been enlightened a little bit as I got older. I'm living on a higher frequency, meaning um, about my own self, a self-discovery type of thing, living on a more pure path with myself. And I recognize the special things in life and what I'm grateful for. And one of those things is Life of Agony.
Yeah, yeah,
So, and being able to play music,
yeah. Play, record it now, and
record
all
it.
of that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So
That was.
if that makes any sense, everything I'm saying, that was the shift in my life as I
Oh,
got
it
older,
does. No,
you
it
know?
does. And you're loving it. You enjoyed it and loved it back then. I'm not saying
Yeah.
that, but you are enjoying every moment of it, right?
Yeah.
So that's
On and off the
important.
stage, on and off the stage, because off the stage affects on the stage.
100%. Yep.
You get
Yep.
what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it does. You're right.
Your vibe, have fun no matter what you're doing, Chris. Like
Mhm.
have a good time.
Yeah.
Set that intention. Set your intention that you're gonna have a great day. It's gonna be like, that I
Yeah.
know it's hard. It's hard for a lot of people. I'm trying to also help people because we all have gone through stuff, family stuff, this our own stuff. And I feel like, and that's what happens in here a lot too in the studio with my clients. And it's great because a lot of these little conversations we have end up trickling into their performances and them getting, it's almost therapy sometimes in here a little
Yeah.
bit. Even for them, they come in, oh, this is what happened. You got to imagine, oh, I lost someone or I just lost a friend, my friend committed suicide. Bob, oh my God, we'll sit for an hour or 45 minutes and talk even before we start
Not
recording.
even yeah, doing anything, right?
Right, like because that's the part of it, that's what I'm talking about. It's not just a business for me. This is a way of life. This is what my life has become. It's submerged in music and I love it. I love it
Yeah.
so much. And thank God I found the balance between music and family because I have two wonderful daughters and a wonderful wife that I make time for.
Of course.
And you get it. You're doing it too,
Yep. Yeah, it's
So
important. It's very important. But no, that was honestly like just an awesome, like an awesome answer, and for a lot of people to look at, in terms of themselves as well. Like it was great, man.
Yeah.
But again, thank you for this, but we're not done yet. I have
All
a
right.
bunch, these this go a bunch of questions. First thing that comes to mind here. So
All
there
right.
is no order of these at all. You'll see, you'll be like, you went from there to there,
That's
really?
okay. I
So
don't care. It's okay. I'm
so
with you. I'm with you,
now
Chris.
you have a few, you've had a lot of tours here or a lot of bands, but when was that wow moment of a band that you toured or played with? You were like, holy shit, we just played with this, shared the stage with this band.
Okay. There's a bunch of
Yeah,
those.
can be more than one, of course.
Well, one huge one, we didn't actually share the same stage. We played on a festival with them, but it was Metallica. And it was a special day, of course, for me, because being a Metallica fan growing up, that was like a dream, of course. Okay, one day we're gonna open or we're gonna play with Metallica, and we did.
Mhm.
And that was special because I do know those guys. So even at the festival, we saw each other and stuff. So that was cool. Got to watch from the stage. Watch them play from the stage. That Sepultura show that I was talking about,
The one with the barricade?
about the with the
Yeah.
barricade, that stuck out as a show. Like especially that Andreas was like, "No, Joey stays up here. Joey stays up here." I was really pumped over that. Um, I'll tell you also, recently, I've been listening to a lot of Gojira over the past 10 years or
Wow.
so. And basically I love that band. And we got to play a festival, Gojira, and that was cool because I got to connect with Joe. And because of that, I ended up going to Brooklyn, and hanging with him at his studio. He invited me out to Brooklyn to his studio, um, Silver Chord, it's called, in Brooklyn. And we powed out for a few hours. We played a little guitar. We talked a lot. So Joe from Gojira, Joe DePlanter.
Yep.
And so he's, I love that band. So getting an opportunity to do that, that was like again, like, yeah,
That's
got to
it.
hang, got to play and hang with those guys a bit. Um, David Bowie, that was a
That's
crazy
cool.
show in
Wow.
Germany. It was the show that he actually had a heart attack on stage. We were watching from
Oh.
the stage and we saw him go down
Oh
by the
my God,
drum.
really? Oh.
Yep, he only played 45 minutes and he got off the stage and he had a heart attack on stage. That was one of his
God.
last shows, actually. We played that festival with him,
Wow.
on the same stage, basically. So that was wild, being able to Keith especially, being a huge
Hmm.
Bowie fan. That was pretty awesome. It goes on and on. There's the list
He
keeps
toured
going.
with Ozzy. I
I was
mean,
just gonna
yeah.
say, you took the words
Toured
out
with
of my
Ozzy.
mouth. Got getting to know the Osborne family, the kids, Sharon, Ozzy himself,
That was ugly, right? That was the ugly tour.
ugly tour. But then
Tour
we did
ugly. Supporting
Ozfest
it.
in '98 as well.
Mhm.
And that's we've always had a nice relationship, a close relationship with the Osbournes, with the family. Sharon loves Keith, loves Life of Agony.
Mhm.
Um, Ozzy was always great. Again, it's another fallen hero that it's just
Yeah.
they keep going, it's like it's a wake up call for all of us. Um, Speaking of which, we're all really pulling for Lou to get through this thing. Lou from Sick of It All.
Yeah. Mhm.
He, as you know, is even closer to us and as a person, even than all these people we're mentioning. So we're really doing all we can. We did a benefit last year. We did one at Irving. We put one together.
Yeah, you and VOD and Crown of Thorns.
VOD,
It was a
yep,
hell of a
and
show.
Killing Time too. Um,
Yeah, yeah, Crown of Time, right?
Yep,
Municipal
and
Waste, right?
municipal
Yep.
waste. Yep, and we're doing another little benefit coming up in Brooklyn, a couple of weeks from now. I don't know if this interview will air after it, but
Should be late February, but
right,
yeah, so that show would have
yeah, it
happened,
might
but
might
yeah,
have
yeah.
happened already, but we're doing it at Lucky 13 under the name Bad Seed because we were asked if you know, I don't know, they said you want to go under a different name because whatever. So we just did something cool and just said, yeah, we'll go under
Hmm.
Bad Seed then because we already did a benefit. I don't know why they asked, but that's fine.
Hmm.
Um, so we're doing all we can to help Lou's situation. Um, and we're really pulling for him, obviously, praying for him. Because we're losing too much of these special people. These
Yeah.
and it's they're going like wildflies, you know, they're going Ace Frehley, recently passed, as you know. So anyway, yeah. Go ahead, go to the next one. I know
No,
I'm
no, but
blabbering.
yeah. But actually
Yeah.
led me into my next one here. Let's a little sick of
Okay.
it all. Scratch the Surface or Built to Last.
Ooh, I gotta go with Scratch the Surface.
Classic. I
I
mean, they're
think
both
Built to Last
classics,
is
right? But
yeah, Built to Last is awesome, but Scratch the Surface, I don't know, man. There's an intensity to that record that I just when it comes on,
vibe,
yeah,
right?
the
Back to
vibe,
that.
the
Yep.
sound of it too.
hmm
It's very
hmm
aggressive, very bitey. It
Yep.
attacks you. Yeah, Scratch the Surface.
Bring it back to LOA. You may have mentioned this a little bit, but I want you to think about it a little. So your favorite songs to play live, like when that song comes on in the set.
All right. I have a bunch, you know. Underground, without a doubt.
Mhm.
I love playing Underground. Always gets my blood going. River Runs Red.
Uh,
The song River Runs Red. Oh, it's one of those that I can't wait for it to come up. Like I can't wait. Because
it's
I
on my
know
15-year-old Spotify playlist.
through and
It's a workout
through,
playlist. My
through and
son loves it. Hmm
through and through is another one. I would say those three from Rivers are my top three that I can't wait for them to happen live. And then when it comes to, I would say, I definitely Weeds, Lost to 22. I love Lost to 22. That's another song live I just always look forward to playing.
Good one.
Um, Let me see. Yeah, there's some we don't play that I'm dying to play, and that's again, we'll get there. There's
Yeah.
gonna be something happening in a couple of years that's gonna be really cool. So, yeah, there's a bunch that we don't play yet that I'm dying to play. But like Broken Valley, like the song Broken Valley.
Yeah. So that's my next one. And I'm going to maybe rephrase the question here. So,
Okay.
like a deep cut song that you guys just don't play. That you just don't like because you have a lot of tracks. You can't do everything. So there's like a deep cut song that you really like that you just haven't had that chance to play that you would like to put in the set, but you just don't know if you could get it in there.
Yeah. Well, that would be if I were to choose one, it would be Broken Valley, the song Broken Valley, if I
Yeah.
were to choose one single song.
Okay.
There's an intensity to that song that I can't describe, especially playing it on guitar. I literally just want to break the guitar in half. I just really
Mm,
literally want to snap it in half. Like that's there's just something about it. I can't describe it.
mhm.
It's the bends on the chorus and what Keith is saying. Just that song itself just makes me want to, I don't know, go bananas.
One of those.
Yeah,
Yep.
yep,
One of those, which you
yep,
talked about before. We were to right.
yep.
Any songs that you guys ever completed, wrote, couldn't have been in, and I'm going to make you think now for your whole span of your career here,
That's all right.
that you recorded, whether it's for River Runs Red, Ugly, Soul Searching Sun, the newest, I'm going to call it the second Life Agony 2.0, when you came out, all the other albums that just never were released. You never used that,
Hmm.
just kind of hanging there in the abyss that were never released of songs from any of those eras.
Well, the Crow, the track The
The
Crow,
song
we
you just put
recorded,
out last year.
yeah,
Yep.
we
Mhm.
recorded it here. That song was sitting around for a number of years, because it was originally gonna make it into our friend, you know the movie The Nun? You familiar with The
Yeah.
Nun?
Mhm.
So our friend Corinne is the director of The Nun. He originally was gonna do a remake of The Crow years and years ago. Um, he's a Life of Agony. He loves Life of Agony. He's a big fan of the band. And so that song was basically going to be written for Corinne and his version of The Crow, but that
Never
never
came
happened.
about.
Right. That movie never happened with his studio. Something fell through. So that song sat, but then we revisited years later when they were making this new Crow film. We really just wanted to pay respects to Brandon Lee with it, and that's because we were big fans of the original and the original soundtrack.
Yeah, that was a good one. I
So
remember that
yeah,
one. Yeah.
it was a so basically, usually if not, if something makes it to the cutting room floor, you know what they say, you know when they say that, it if it doesn't make it onto the album, we usually don't generally hang on to it, like, oh, well, because by time we start writing again, there's going to be new vibes, new riffs, new feelings. That's
Right.
how we are. We're very real to what's going on, the influences happening, yeah, at the time we're writing. that we're so true to that that we're not like, oh, let's go visit that rift from 8 years ago. Like we
Yeah,
never
not
do that.
there. Yeah,
We're not, you know what I'm saying? So we really don't have too many of those sitting around like
flying
that.
around and doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna make
Mm.
you choose between your own stuff here. A place where there is no more pain or the sound of scars.
Oh man, that's an easy one, man. Sound of Scars.
Sound of scars.
Yeah.
I told you how I feel about that record. That's a good
Yeah,
one.
it being like a continuation from River Runs Red and how the story, if you really listen,
That's what's
if
cool
you
about it.
listen to the in between, I created all, I don't want to give it all away, but I created all those here as well.
Mhm.
All the story pieces to fit to continue the story. And it was so cool to create those and to like dive into the mind of dive into the mind of the person, of the guy from the bathtub years and years ago, and how he would be these days because he lived. So it's just like, it was so cool to make it. It was so much fun and so exciting to make that
Yeah,
record.
yeah.
And of course it was special to me because basically I got to produce the record. I was the co-producer or producer actually of the record, with Sylvia Massey, who worked on the drums and also the mixing with me. So, you know, it was just, it was cool to be trusted to make a Life of
To make
Agony
it.
record. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, and I
that's
got
it.
that on my wall over here that Alan made for me. It's the
Ah, that's cool.
Sound of Scars.
Album
Yeah.
portrait. That's awesome. Talk clubs here. So this is
Mhm.
Long Island. People who are from Long Island listening to this, or even New York, know
Yeah.
Sundance or the Roxy.
Oh man. I would have to say the Roxy. I liked the Sundance. Sundance was awesome. We had some classic shows there. One stuck out with Agnostic Front, Nausea, Rest in Pieces we did
Hmm.
at the Sundance. That was our first show ever there. And I don't know how many more times we played there, probably only one other time. But the Roxy, man, I don't know. There's certain clubs you walk into, you almost feel like you own the club when you play it. Like, you know what I mean? Like you don't own it, obviously, but you feel so at home, I would say. L'Amour's felt that way to us. The Roxy felt that way to us. Um, Clubs like Starland Ballroom in New Jersey feels that way to us when we go there. It just feels like it just feels like I don't know, like the night is ours. Like I can't describe it. It's just very comfortable, the best word to use. And the Roxy had that feeling. Oh, the
Guys,
Ritz,
you guys had some of my favorite shows for seeing you at the Roxy. Like my favorite
Mhm.
sets were
the
where you guys had.
Limelight also for us. We always had good
Had.
shows there when we would play
Mhm.
Limelight. So yeah, but the Roxy, yeah. I would say Roxy over Sundance.
Okay. Now, wetlands or Seabees?
Hmm, that's a hard one actually because Wetlands was
Wetlands is a cool
awesome.
club.
Awesome Wetlands.
Like the
That's a
Scooby Doo
tough one.
van in the corner. Like that was
Yeah,
like I liked
well,
Wetlands was a
just
cool spot.
again, I always just go back to vibe during the shows, and I would say those are kind of equal. I'm kind of split on that because we had great shows at the Wetlands. It would be hard to choose one over the other
Yeah.
because both had a great vibe, both venues. CB's, we had classic shows there. I mean, I remember one show at CB's, I think it was on the Broken Valley album, when just released. It was like people on top of people. Uh,
hmm
it was like, how would you say it? It almost was so packed that they let so many people in. It almost looked like two rows of people.
Uh,
We remember, like, it just was people were climbing on top of people,
that
and it was
place
like
would
a
get
wall of
crazy
people.
crowd. Yeah.
It was insane. So thinking of that, but then thinking of some classic shows at Wetlands with like Sheer Terror, and we played there with Sheer Terror. I remember it was a great night, great show, man. Yeah, so I'm split on that, Chris. I'm
Got
down
it.
the middle.
Couple more. Favorite L'Amour's show.
I gotta say, when River Runs Red came out and Keith climbed the DJ booth and jumped out, and then I walked across. Oh, did Keith walk across the bar and sang? Or I walked across the bar and played guitar. I can't remember. I know I rode the crowd. I think Keith walked the bar, like literally. I think Keith did that. He walked across the bar with a wireless mic and just was walking, singing the songs, climbed the DJ booth. Everyone was crowded. He jumped out of the DJ booth window and then rode the crowd back to the stage. Yeah, probably River Runs Red when it was our release show at
Yeah.
Lemore's was memorable.
Okay, last one here, man. What have you been currently listening to?
I've been listening to a lot of Tool. You know, over the year we toured with them. We did Ozfest with them years ago, and I watched them every night. I remember, I never missed a night. I loved watching them, but I never got into their albums as much as a kid, a younger guy, I should say, as a
Uh-huh.
younger guy. But as I got older, and I just recently, I've been doing such a deep dive into Tool. I'm putting on Tool almost every day in the studio. I got these killer speakers behind me up top called Barefoots, and I didn't get them so long ago. I got them about maybe earlier this in 2025. They're amazing speakers, by the way, for a studio. But the way music sound, they're so true. So any album that really sounds good, like that has an actual really good sound, sounds amazing through these things. Any album that has flaws, you're going to hear it in these things.
Mhm.
That's what the beauty of them is. It makes me work really hard, which I love, to
Okay.
make the band sound great in here.
Mhm.
So having these speakers, listening to Tool, their records are done so well, and I'm able to, the way it sounds in here, I've just been putting on Tool day in, day out in here. And this has been going on for the past 8 months.
So been
So
into it. Yeah.
yeah, now like it's probably my go-to if I'm just chilling or go in the yard, have a cigar or a cup of coffee, and I have the little speaker, the little, whatever little speaker, Bluetooth. I'll put Tool on back there now because shit I'm hearing in here, I try to pick up on it through the smaller speakers now, the way things are mixed and
Right.
just enjoying their music. And I don't know, the songs, some of them are like epic. They're so long and so many cool riffs happen within the songs. I never really gave them a really good listen. And I'm so glad I'm like at this age finding Tool at this age.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Joey, thanks so much. This was a great discussion, man. Honestly, about
Awesome,
a lot of
Chris.
stuff from
Thank you,
back in
man.
the day to now to everything with your studio. Anything you want to end with before I sign us off?
Just thank you. I'd love to, like I say, get to know your band a little bit more. You should plug your band right now. If people watching this, tell everyone what your band is called.
Overthrow. We have our band's Overthrow from Long Island. We just put out a new album last year, Setting the Price. So yeah, which is cool. It's cool. It's fun to play again.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's
Hmm.
great. And I look forward to seeing you in March. I can't be at the Amityville show
Hmm.
because I'll that's Amityville you're playing, right?
Yeah, we'll be Amityville and then
That's March
Jersey the next
13th, you
day.
said, right?
Yeah, March 13th was shut down, and then the 14th was shut down again in Jersey. But you will be in Europe at that point in time. But
Right,
yeah, cool.
right. But in the future, we'll obviously be in touch. Just
Will
let me
do.
know when you guys are playing around. Um, and yeah, no, thank you very much. It's always nice to get to talk to someone that's been around, do an interview or speak to someone that's been around and knows the amount of information that you know, because
Hmm.
it makes it fun to reminisce and get, talk about it,
Hmm.
talk about it more.
Yeah, no, this is awesome. Thanks, Joey. Hang tight. I'll just read this and then we'll chat up when I get off. Okay. I'm gonna
Yeah,
go.
sure.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
listening to the What Lies Ahead podcast, which is available on all streaming platforms. Go save the What Lies Ahead podcast playlist on Spotify that features all bands that were on the show. For more information on future episodes, you can go to my Instagram account and follow at What Lies Ahead _podcast and on Facebook by searching What Lies Ahead podcast. See you on the next episode.